Hello guys, Alex Fedotoff here, and today I'm very excited to have with us Jack Cregan. He's one of our clients in e-commerce scaling secrets program. Amazing guy, and I mean this guy, like you just listen to this interview because it will be so many great insights. Jack, you've done like $5 million with one product, right?
Yeah, we've done $5 million with one product. Yeah.
Jack will share exactly the process. I mean the bottlenecks as well. It's not only the fucking good things, but also the bad thing that happened with that particular product, also some other projects that he's working on. Like how this guy thinks is just like incredible, because he just showed me before our call, he just showed me some of the stuff that they're working on, and he has very unique approach to business. So guys, I recommend you just listen and take fucking notes, please. So man, happy to have you here.
Thanks, Alex.
Let's start with your background. Like, when did you get into like e-commerce in the first place? How old are you, by the way?
I'm 22.
Again, like I'm having these conversations, with guys. Like everyone is like 22. I'm like 30. Like, fuck, I feel like shit. It's like I'm old.
Yeah, but we're all looking up to you at the end of the day, Alex.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I mean, I wish I was like you at 22. So 22 years old. Like, when did you start with e-commerce?
I started in 2019. Basically, it was very simple. I was learning like about all online business. Was I going to do social media marketing for companies? I was trying to figure it out, like, and I was going for meeting with like real estate agents, see could I run Facebook ads from all that type of stuff. And it was around November 2018, the end of the year. And I was going around to a couple of houses around the place, and everyone was talking about this problem. I'm from Ireland, just to give some background. And this problem was, there was a law introduced in the end of 2018 in Ireland where people weren't allowed to drink alcohol and drive at the same time. Historically, you were allowed to have a small amount of alcohol in your system and you were allowed to drive. So that they changed the rule. So it was a zero tolerance rule came in. So you couldn't have anything.
Wow.
So everywhere we went, everyone was talking about, oh my God, how are we going to cope? What are we going to do? And then everyone started talking about alcohol breathalyzers. And they were like, where are we going to get them? Oh my God, like they're sold out in all the shops. And I was like, I know what I'll do here. I've seen about dropshipping on the internet. I'll find these in China and I'll start selling them. So that's how I got started. I set up a Shopify store, and literally the next day, because it was such a hot topic in the country Ireland at the time, I think the ROAS was like 6 or 7 straight away. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just broad targeting everyone in Ireland. And
so what exactly were you selling?
I was selling like an alcohol breathalyzer, a digital breathalyzer. So basically what it would mean is, when you had a drink, a lot of time when you have say 5 or 6 drinks in a night, the following morning, it could potentially still be in your system. So basically the solution was you get a breathalyzer. So what it was a little electronic breathalyzer. So you blow into it for 6 seconds. And after the 6 seconds, it will give you a BCA reading, a blood alcohol content reading. So it would give you the amount of alcohol in your blood. And if it was 0, you were safe. But if there was stuff in your blood, you had to wait, and you had to maybe wait another 3 hours or 2 hours and then do another test. And once you're clear, you're good to drive. Because if you got caught by the police here in Ireland, you'd be facing a fine or maybe some jail time even. And you've been kicked off the road.
And those, so at that point, those products haven't been present in like stores, for example?
The thing was, the law was introduced very like rapidly. No one really knew this was happening. It was just kind of introduced overnight. It was passed by the government or whatever. So no one really had stocks or anything like that. Everyone was trying to get them. All the stores were trying to get them. All the major car stores were trying to get them. But with dropshipping, you obviously have a major advantage because they're stock in China and you're not waiting for them to come into the country. You're going to ship them directly from China. So yeah, that's how it works.
I think there's like, so what you just said is like, even this, like this far in like into our interview, man, like fucking one insight. You had this thing, right? You had this idea, and like you just you didn't wait like fucking months, so people like research, like you just get it done, validate it, test it. That's fucking it.
And that's the thing, that's what people need to do. Like I talk to so many people and they're like, it's like all they see is walls in front of them. It's like, just walk around the wall. Like you don't need to overthink it. Just start doing it. Like, because you could be researching that breathalyzers, you could be bringing in samples, blowing into them, seeing that they work. But at the end of the day, if you don't have money to do that, like what's the point? Because I didn't have money at that time. So I just started selling them, and then you get some feedback from the customers like, oh, there's a problem here, or How do I use it? There's no proper instruction manual. And then you start solving them issues after a couple of customers have started to get the unit. And then you can go to China and you can find a better one, etc.
Such a good point, man. And so what happened? How much in revenue have you done? Like, how long did it last for you, that product?
For me, it was mind blowing, because I was making like 200-300 euros the first couple of days. I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen it like this before. And I suppose it lasted about 4 or 5 months. And it was very small revenue. It was only about 70,000. I didn't understand how to scale Facebook, anything like that. But it helped me make my first 30 or so thousand euros. And that got me going. It got me into the e-commerce mindset. And from then I never looked back, and that's all I've been thinking about ever since.
That's awesome. And so, okay, so you've done that. What model did you like? So you use like one product store, like, the niche store, like what model did you use?
After a bit of time, after about 3-4 weeks, I figured out the 3 breast product. So I had an introductory level one, which was really cheap. I had a middle section one, which was priced around 40 euros. And then I had a super expensive one, which is like 100 euros. And it was a really good one. So that's kind of how I did it. So it was just basically a 1 product store with 3 different variants: an entry level, a medium one, and then a good one. So that's kind of how I did it.
Okay. So let's say one store, like pretty much like one product, just 3 different variations?
Yeah. No, it was three different products, 3 different products.
I see.
But all with different accuracy levels. So one was like 100, the expensive one was very accurate. The middle one was fairly accurate, and the cheaper one was the disposable one, so you couldn't reuse it, if that makes sense. You could just blow into it once. It was like a stick, and it would change color if you had alcohol in your system, and then you threw it out. So it was like a once off.
That's awesome. So okay, so you started with that, you made some money with that. What happened next? Like what project did you start the most successful project of yours, like after that, or you've had some other project before that?
After that, and I'm sure a lot of people experience this if they have a winning product, they go, well, it happens to me, where I go through like a low period and like nothing is working out for me. It's a disaster. I'm never going to be successful again. So I was going through that period for a little bit, maybe 2 months, and I was testing a lot of things. I was putting up stores every day, running ads, just seeing what was working. And I think this is a critical point in my life, because I was not finding the solutions. I wasn't able to find a new product, and I was really starting to give up on e-commerce, and I was just going to go back working with my dad and stuff like that. But I kept persistent. I knew it was out there to be found, and eventually I did stumble across another product after testing about 6 different stores. And how I found this product was basically, and this would have been my routine every day. It was on the ad spies, it was on Big Spy, it was on Powered Ad Spy. It was just scrolling, seeing what I could find. And one day I was scrolling and I seen something, and it was like, this could be interesting. So I went to Facebook and I studied the page and stuff like that. And I went to the page transparency, and I went to the ad library for this particular business. I don't even think it was the ad library at the time. I think they had it structured a little bit differently. And I went to see where they were running ads, and when I clicked the option for the countries, it only had the United States. And I was like, this is interesting. They're only selling in the United States. There's a whole other world back. So I was like, I'll do this store. And I found a product in AliExpress. I set up the store the next day and that evening, and started running some Facebook ads. And that was the start of my biggest product, I will say, where everything was just smooth sailing for it was smooth sailing for about 2 months. I found that this seller was only selling the product in the United States. So I was like, okay, I'll try and sell it in the UK using much the same store, all that type of thing. So built out the store and just ran ads to the UK. Got some image ads, got some video ads done up on Fiverr, and started running ads in the UK. And it worked. It started working straight away. I was like, this is fantastic. So I was running it using the exact same team as I had used originally. I think it was the Jumpstart team. I don't know if you remember that. It was just a beautiful team. It was so simple. I had the video on the banner.
How was that called? Jumpstart.
Shopify don't do it anymore, actually. They got rid of it. It was called Jumpstart. Yeah, I was using that team, and it was work. I may as well get the product. It's hard to explain otherwise. It was basically wireless earphones. So the company in America was selling the wireless earphones. I was like, great, I'll sell them in the UK because I'm not selling there. So I started selling them, and the ROAS was fantastic. It was easy to get them in China. The shipping times were pretty decent. I think it was about 8 days on average. So everything was going extremely well. But then I started running across problems, like I was getting banned ad accounts, and I was having trouble with payment processors. I was having to, because I was scaling to maybe 10,000 euros per day in sales. And I was running into so many problems. I was using my parents' credit cards to try and get the Facebook ad spend because I had no money, because everything was stuck in PayPal, everything was stuck in Stripe holds.
Wow.
And eventually, I suppose after 2 months, the Facebook ads, they just weren't profitable for me anymore. And again, I was fearing that I was going to be like back to square one again, like the products weren't going to work. So what I did was I launched them in Germany, the exact same strategy, got a German translator, and everything worked smoothly there for another 2 months, would say. So what happened eventually, again, like all dropping products typically, is you run out of steam. Well, for me anyway, it ran out of steam, and I couldn't get the Facebook ads to be profitable anymore. So at this stage, what I did was I decided to look at it seriously, because it was these headphones, they were super good. People liked them. So what I did was I was selling them in generic packaging. I got everything branded up properly. I had to buy, I had to send an order for 2,000 units. So I actually had stock in hand rather than just selling stock that was sitting there with generic label.
How much
that cost?
What was
I spent. It cost me, I think it was a total around $35,000 or $30,000 for the 2,000 units. So it was a big gamble. It was a big gamble for me at the time. It was a lot of my network was after being pumped into this, and I was not profitable on Facebook. Now I was not able to get the ads profitable. But my theory was that if I had all this nice packaging, etc., that it would work a lot better, because I'd be able to create custom content and I'd be able to send it to influencers. So I got all the samples in of the product, and I started taking my own little videos and started creating content, and I launched the ads, and they didn't work. And I was starting to get very worried now, because I had 2,000 units sitting in China. So what I did was I started looking for influencers to promote them. And I specifically went to Italy, because I knew influencers were underpriced in markets outside of the UK and the United States, because influencers know their worth in the UK and the United States. Typically, they know how valuable they are. Whereas in Italy and countries like that, I knew they were significantly cheaper from a friend of mine that was dropshipping that told me this. So I found a YouTuber in Italy, a tech YouTuber, and sent him a pair of pods to review. And he did a full video reviewing the pods, the earphones, and it just kind of exploded after that. We probably 30x'd the investment on the influencer, and it brought us up to like probably after a couple of weeks of the launch of the influencer, 7 figures in revenue after rebranding everything with the product. Then we just went hard on, I got an agency to run the Facebook ads, we did Google ads, we did Snapchat ads. We went and found every tech influencer we could in Italy, and we worked with every single one of them.
So you got this like initial validation with like influencer. How much did you pay him?
It was 4,000 euros at the time.
4,000 euros. How did you know like that wasn't like a gamble? Like, I mean, obviously that was a gamble, right? Like, I mean, how did you kind of like, did you like see approximately, did you calculate approximately how many orders you could get from it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I went through probably a full notebook on trying to figure out like, okay, if 200,000 people see this video, 30% of them will click through to the website, and I'll have a 3% conversion rate. But at the end of the day, like, you just can't predict human behavior. You can to a certain extent with e-commerce, because you might know but you don't know how loyal his audience is. With influencers, it doesn't matter if they're getting 1 million views in their stories. It doesn't matter if they're getting 1 million views in their videos, because I worked with an influencer that gets that much stuff, and it resulted in virtually 0 sales. It's all about the influencers' influence, if that makes sense. Like, how influential are they over the audience that's watching them? Yeah, and how you can judge things like this is, if you look at their YouTube video, how many likes they're getting in the video, and is that consistent? How consistent are their views? You can look at their Instagram, how many comments are getting on their post. That's what you really need to be studying into. So I just had a good feeling about this particular influencer that it was going to go good.
And so, okay, so you had that first one, you paid 4,000 euros. You've got like very good return on it, like hundreds of thousands of euros, right, in sales?
Yeah.
And so after that, you've decided to do more of these influencers, right? That was the next thing that you did, or you went like straight to Facebook ads?
To be honest, I got a bit lazy because the momentum was so good off this influencer, and it was right. it was pre Black Friday as well. So the influencer video, and this, I didn't even know what Black Friday was really. The influencer went live maybe 7 days before Black Friday, so there was a surge of traffic every day into the site. And we set up all the Facebook ads properly, and we were retargeting. And then we just started, I was like, I need to focus on Black Friday this day that apparently is so good. And I just started like, we're having a big sale Black Friday, running all the ads, etc. And we just had an extraordinary day Black Friday as well. And it continued after that. It kept going, and we just started working with more influencers. We kept the Facebook ads going. We created more custom content. And then we started into Snapchat ads. We started doing Google shopping ads, display ads, retargeting Google, Pinterest ads. We did everything.
Wow, this is awesome. So for how long that period like lasted of this, like, was it like consistent performance day to day, like months to months, or it was like more like in spikes in certain months and then like some months would be lower? How was it?
It was pretty consistent. It was like, it was up near 300, 400,000 every month, pretty consistent. And that's to thank just because of the Google ads, the Facebook ads that came in to push and take care of everything. The Snapchat ads, Snapchat performed extremely well for us.
Snapchat ads in just one country?
Yeah, it's in Italy.
Fuck. Wow. Guys, if you're like watching, and if you're like watching and if you're like from some country, you gotta, I mean, you might have like local, you know, like opportunities. Did you speak Italian? Like, how did you get it? How did you do it?
No, I didn't speak Italian. I became very, very friendly with one of the smaller YouTubers that I sent a pair of earphones to review, and he was like, you know, he was a small up and coming YouTuber. So it was like, and he spoke English. He was young. I think he was 18, and we just became really friendly. So what he ended up doing is he just created all the content for me, and I just got a native speaker from Fiverr.com to make sure everything was crisp and clear in the website, Italian translation wise. And we obviously we hired a Clavio agency as well, just to make sure that was all on point, and they did a fantastic job as well. Email All Stars was the name of the agency. They were so good.
What was the name?
Email All Stars was the name of the company.
Ah, okay.
Email agency. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good team, super responsive.
Email All Stars.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So did you leverage like YouTube influencers or Instagram influencers?
All YouTube.
Only YouTube.
Only YouTube.
Fuck. And so tell me this. So how many total like influencers would you say like you've been through? Like,
I would say we also did France. We worked a lot in France, but we had a big competitor in France, which I found out after, and I became friends with them. But I was wondering why France wasn't working very well. Because I wasn't studying the market. I wasn't in France. I wasn't looking at influencer stuff in France because I couldn't speak French and stuff like that. But I found out after that we had a massive competitor in France that was doing double the volume we were. But we still did a decent amount of revenue in France. So we also had influencers running in France. We had a small amount of them running in Germany. And we also had some influencers running in the UK. And we had some running in the US. But Italy was the center of it. That's where the majority of the revenue was come from, because we had no competition.
This is very interesting. Okay, so YouTube influencers, what would you say, like what percentage of those like collaborations worked out, right? Like, how did you track the sales? Like, did you have a special link for each influencer, or you
we used UTM tags with Google Analytics just for all of them. So it would be like the website link dash the YouTuber name, and that's how we track all the traffic that would come in through there. That's how we track them. All of them were profitable. I can't say any of them. Bar the, you remember I said that we use a very big influencer in the United States. He wasn't profitable, and we found out after a while that even though he was getting millions of views, it was different viewers every time, just because it was like these trendy videos, and it wasn't really a loyal audience. Yeah, so that was an unprofitable one.
So, but the most of them were profitable.
Yeah, they were.
Wow.
Generally speaking, when you have an influencer that works, you can kind of gauge, okay, they have good influence, the product is working for them. Find as many YouTubers, big or small, because the smaller one works very well too. Find as many as you can in that niche with what you think to be good influence over their audience, and use them all if you can.
I know, like there's this company called Ridge Wallet. You know Ridge Wallet?
Yes, I know.
That's basically how they fucking grew. Like they just like I read like last year they spent like something like $3.9 million on like sponsoring like videos, you know, basically like YouTube influencers. 3,000 videos, right? Now you look at their fucking traffic. It's kind of like accumulates over time, you know, because like let's say each of those videos, they'll not only give you like the the views today, but also like moving forward, right? Because like YouTube video stays there.
Yes, they do stay there. That's why YouTube is so much better than Instagram influencers, because the YouTube videos they're there forever. Like everyone's they'll always have trickle traffic, and you'll always have trickle sales as a result.
Yeah, it's like, see, like 200,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Craziness. Yeah, it was even higher. Like, so November is probably people looking for gifts and stuff. Like probably before Q4, they started boosting more stuff. Now it's still good.
So good.
Wow.
Very good model. Yeah.
This is amazing. So, okay, so what happened after that?
After that, I suppose a couple of months later, we upgraded them. We brought out a new variation. We worked with all the influencers again, and we had another surge of sales, just using the exact same principles. We created new ads, which just kept everything fresh to keep it moving. And everything was going fantastically. But unfortunately, we had to stop selling because of an intellectual property issue that arose, and I had no choice. I just had to stop selling them, which is something to take on board for everyone listening. It's like, you need to do your research. You need to be careful with what you're selling, and make sure you're not infringing on anyone's technology, anyone's design rights, etc.
So okay. Yeah. You were selling in Italy, right? Like, I know Italy is like cash on delivery. You know, a lot of people are using that at least. But have you been using that, or just like straight card, like in PayPal, or like?
Yeah, no, we didn't use cash on delivery just because
you still had the good conversion rates and still was profitable.
Yeah, we had a maybe 4% conversion rate, and we just offered PayPal and Stripe.
Wow, because in those markets, you know, I mean, pretty much in every market, like it's like, especially in Europe, you know, like they have these like local solutions, like Klarna in Sweden, you know, it's like you have to use those in order to maximize. It seems like your product and how influencers were like reframing it, or maybe the product itself was so desired that people didn't give a shit. Like they just wanted the product, they would find a like credit card to pay for it, or PayPal.
Yeah, I suppose like if you market your product good enough, and if you have influential people talking about it and promoting it to back it up, it lends itself to success, and people will do anything to get their hands on it at that stage. And once you offer the basic things like your credit card, which everyone in Italy has, and you also have PayPal, so you have like seller protection. It's because cash and delivery in Italy, I didn't even look into it because I didn't want to look into it, because I can't imagine the complexities of it, even though it might be simple, and it was something I neglected and I should have looked into, because it could have boosted the conversion rate even more.
Correct. So yeah. Wow, and this is so interesting. So in total, you generated like what, like $5 million with that particular product?
Yeah.
Wow. What was the profitability?
It was extremely profitable because of the influencers. And any traffic we ran, we always had, like in Facebook, we had generally like a 6 or 7 ROAS. On Google, much the same. Snapchat, phenomenal. When we first started Snapchat, the first 2 months, 14 ROAS. But major problem, we could never spend more than 600 or 700 euros per day because we were limited by the amount of people on Snapchat in Italy. Now we were also running Snapchat in France, and it worked as well, but the ROAS wouldn't have been a good. It was maybe a 4 in France.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so interesting, man. Wow. And so, okay, so that project, you basically had to stop it. How much time after that it took for you, like to start like another project?
Well, while I was doing that, I already had another project started, which was like smartwatches and stuff like that. We did a small bit of revenue with it, and then we sold that business on. We sold it on the marketplace Flippa, which I'm sure most people would know about. It's just like an e-commerce.
Which is a marketplace?
Flippa.com.
Oh, on the Flippa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just listed it on Flippa. I had no experience, and I said I've met a friend in the UK. He's a web developer, and I was in this project with him, this smartwatch project, and I've been in all subsequent projects with him since, because he's just a phenomenal. He's a master of like web stuff, tech stuff. So yeah, we threw that business on Flippa, and we had a couple of buyers inquire, and eventually we had one that was very interested, and he purchased the business off us.
Wow! So you got paid like upfront, like the whole amount, or you got the payment plan?
Yeah, no, we got the whole amount up front. How it works on Flippa is they have an escrow transaction. So it goes into, so the buyer transfers the money into escrow, and Flippa control this, and they take their fees. And then we transfer domain ownership and store ownership, and then the buyer gives approval to Flippa and escrow, and then the funds are released. The funds are released to the seller, which was us. And that's kind of how Flipper works, and everything is transferred securely in that way.
Wow, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
how much you sold that business for?
We sold that business for 50,000 at the time. And now the business had only done about 100,000 in revenue, and we just threw it up and we said, you can buy it for 50,000, and we were lucky enough to sell it for that much.
Wow, that's nice. So you sold it for $50,000.
Yeah, and it's just like, because I know a lot of people watching will have stores that are doing a lot more revenue than that, or have done a lot more than 100,000 revenue. And if your profit margins are decent, like anywhere around 30-25%, you can sell that business for a decent multiple of the profits, provided, and this is important, that you have a decent product, you have good systems in place, you have fast shipping, you don't have terrible reviews behind the product.
Yeah.
Because these are all important things for the next buyer, because they can't be left with a mess when they purchase the business. And after we sold it, we did have to give the buyers a nice amount of support, making sure everything was running smoothly, to help introduce them to the supplier, get them talking to the supplier, and told them how we did everything. So you have to be there for the buyer after that. But it's not as hard as you think, sell a business, basically.
So, okay, so that experience, okay, so after that, what happened? Like, what projects you started?
After that, we started a print-on-demand company a couple of months, maybe 2 months after. We took a little bit of time off, and then we started a print-on-demand company, which was our next adventure. And it's been a fun one. We're just at the end of that now. But how that business works was really efficient, because I showed you before the call, Alex. Basically, we have a store. It turns people into like cartoon characters, essentially. So what would happen is you go to the website and you submit your photo of you and your friends or you and your family, and you be turned into like a cartoon character. The way we had the system set up, so we had a team of designers hired to turn, because every drawing was manually done by an artist on their computer. So we set up a system where if a customer ordered, it would go straight to designers, and the designers can claim the order if they're free to do it. What would happen is they do the design, and then they upload it back into the system we created, and it would automatically send the design to the customer via email for approval. So they'd see the artwork and they'd be like, that's fantastic, I'm happy. Once they're happy, they generally order a canvas or a frame, just to give some context. It's automatically sent to our print-on-demand suppliers. And our print-on-demand suppliers are unique in that they're more of a software company. So when the order goes to them, it picks up the postcode or the address of the customer that ordered originally. And based on that address, they'll send the order for, we'll say it's a frame poster. They'll send it to a manufacturing company that manufactures frame posters. In one of the countries, they have one of them suppliers, and they have suppliers in basically every country, 30+ countries around the world. So if you ordered from the UK, your product is getting manufactured and shipped from the UK. If you order from Germany, your product is getting manufactured and shipped from Germany, and so on. So shipping is not from China anymore. It's really efficient. It's like 2 to 3 day shipping once the order has been approved by the customer, the artwork. And then we set up another business like that in the pet niche, doing the exact same thing. And they're extremely hands-off. We've been running them for a couple of months now, where once we set them up, once we got good creatives done, we didn't really have to do a whole pile, because we had an advertising agency managing the Facebook ads. So very hands-off, because the system was so automated. Now, it took a fair bit of time and effort to get set up at the start, but it's been running pretty smoothly ever since.
That's awesome. There is something about you, right? Like, there is something about you, because you approach things in a different way, right? So even you said like system, like you created the system, right? After you put, so initially it takes more time to set up a system, right? Which like most people don't want to do, right? Most people like want to just like, like they want to profit today. They want to less effort, like, they want like faster, rewards. You dedicate time to building the system, so then it becomes more hands off over time, right? So you also finding like trusted partners that would help you with certain parts of the business.
I was talking to Will, my partner in all these new businesses, and now don't give me any credit, because he is the genius behind all of this. He's built all these systems. He's like a coding mastermind. He's figured out the API solutions, allowing us to, like, if you order from Miami, your product will be shipped near Miami and sent to you very efficiently.
Wow. It's similar to what Amazon does, right? Like on Amazon, when you search it, like it basically gives the preference to listings that are closer to you in the warehouse, so it basically would be delivered to you faster. Yeah,
and like our supplier is gelato.com. They're a print-on-demand company, but they're more like a software solution. So they're allowing their main mission, right, is, and this is why they set up to allow big multinational companies. It's a weird reason they set up. They set up, so imagine you're Google and you have to send out a newsletter to every employee in the world. So originally what Google used to do is they used print everything over in California, let's say, and they used ship these flyers all over the world to all their employees. Now what they do is they use Gelato. So they go to Gelato, okay, we have to print this flyer, and Gelato are, okay, you need to send them in Google in Ukraine, for example. We'll use our local printer in Ukraine and we'll bang them off from there. So basically what it does is it reduces emissions because there's less transportation happening.
I'll share the platform, and thank you so much for sharing. I think a lot of people would benefit from it as well. So it is Gelato, right?
Yes, this is it.
Wow, this is awesome. So you've said their prices, for example, are much cheaper than Printful, for example.
Yes, I got as far as saying they're nearly half, but I could be wrong in that, but they're definitely significantly cheaper.
Wow, this is craziness, man. This is craziness. Wow.
You can see there, if you just read a little bit, like if you go down a small bit, yeah, you'll see everything about like their mission and stuff like that. It's actually really, really interesting. You can't go wrong because they do basically everything Printful do.
Wow. This is awesome, guys. Yeah, check it out. I didn't know there's like such cost, because typically the problem with like print on demand, I mean, it's good. These are like good products because if they're like personalized, the perceived value is higher. But the problem is margins typically, right? Because I mean, the printing company, the print on demand company, they make money, right? Like not merchants. Like, I mean, their margins are not as high.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see some rewards like on the back. What is this? Like you got some rewards like on the wall, like on that. Like what is that?
That's my dad's into cows. Would you believe it? They're cow trophies. My dad, like I'm out. If you see where I am, I'm in rural Ireland, a lot different to where you are. If I look outside, there's like fields everywhere. So my dad comes from a farming family, and they're just award-winning cows. Believe it or not.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Unfortunately, they're not mine.
It's kind of like, so I mean, you've done like this project that was like massive in terms of probably like learning experience. You figured it out. You've done these smaller projects, so you've exited some of them, right? Like the other printing company also has it exited already.
Yes, yeah, we sold that, and we same thing, Flippa, and sold the business. This business was a lot more valuable because, as you can see, it's not like a normal dropshipping company. It's really efficient in a way, and the system that we have in place that I told you about and I showed you earlier, it's a valuable piece of the business because you can even commercialize that software if needs be and sell it to other businesses.
Okay, so 300. You mentioned before, right? You sold it for $350,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did it take you from like starting the project to exiting, like the total like time frame?
We launched in November 2020 and we sold last week.
November 2020. So it was like you sold in March, right?
Yeah, sold in March.
March 2021. So you've had like total like 1, 2, like basically like 4 or 5 months. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's it.
4 or 5 months. So $350,000 in like 5 months. That's yours, right? That's on top of the profit that the business was generating before.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fucking good, man. That's fucking good. You know how to make money, right? Like now it's like you just like whatever project it's like, whatever projects you're doing, like you know the plan, right? Like considering the experience you have.
Yeah. And I think it's a matter of now that we had we sold the first business for 50,000, the next business for a little bit higher. We have like we can see that like, okay, the next business needs to be a little bit better, and we can see like a clear path to maybe get to a more higher value of selling a business for maybe closer to 10 million. And then maybe if we successfully do that, maybe someday we can go and we can build one that's potentially worth 5 or 6 million. We don't know, like no one knows if we'll be able to do that.
You're so young. I mean, it's like, I mean, I wish I was like you at your age, It's like, geez, I didn't know. I didn't speak English even. Like, it's amazing. I mean, you will definitely build like $100 million business. It's a matter of like consistent effort over the period of time, right? As long as you learn what works, what doesn't.
And like the way I've been talking, it sounds like it's all amazing, but it's not. Like, yeah, some days are terrible. Like, and that's true. Like, there is, honest to God, there is more bad days than there is good. Like, and you probably know that yourself, Alex. Like, some days you're so down, or things aren't going your way, or you get a ban on Facebook, or you have an issue with a payment processor, and it's just like thump after thump after thump, and you just have to try and find a way to keep yourself motivated when all that stuff is going on.
100%. There's definitely this element, like, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's what makes, like, I think that would, like, why, for example, like 90% of businesses fail, right? I think that there is like this element where it's like, okay, something doesn't work. I mean, I you know, like, very successful people, they also have issues, you know, like, so it doesn't matter like what you do, like, when you have those situations, like, so you can't, but I know what you're saying. It's like, yeah, it's like the guy like done amazing things and everything is so like perfect, right? But they need that, like, there's so much fucking work and like so many things that didn't work out, and so many fucking stressful things that you have experienced.
Yeah, totally.
I have friends, you know, they've sold their company for like multiple 8 figures, like 30-40 million dollars, and it's Amazon company, right? And it's like FBA, filmed by Amazon, so it's mostly was like scaled on Amazon. So first year they've done like $600,000 in sales. Second year they've done like $9 million in sales, and then year after they've done like over $30 million in sales, which sounds good on fucking paper, and it's like when you talk about it, but imagine the fucking cash flow that you need to have, because Amazon, you have to buy the fucking inventory up front. You have to prepay for the products in China to be manufactured and shipped, right? Like, so much fucking cash flow. The guys were like fucking this over leveraged, you know, every credit card they could put their hands on, you know? So when people talk about scaling their business, I mean, there's this fucking element, which, you know, dropshipping model is relatively like better in that respect, because like the cash flow is better, but you face other shit, right? Like any business, you face something.
Yeah, 100%. Well, congratulations to your friends. That sounds like a good story. But like you say,
they said like, you know, if they wouldn't sell the fucking business, they were like this fucking close, like they haven't seen their families, like, you know, like, because like they would work like almost 24/7, you know, just fucking wake up, work 250 that many SKUs, so it's like every one of those SKUs would be like, need to be designs, you know, all of those things. So it's just, you know, that part is that people don't talk about.
I just need to text my brother to turn on the television in the background. He's watching.
Let's hear some.
He's watching. He's watching The Office.
This is awesome.
2 seconds. I'll close the door here.
So what would be like, so let's talk about good things. We talked about some bad stuff. Let's talk about the good things. So what would be like, okay, let's say you have, or maybe you said you see some entrepreneurs, right, that are doing things, right? What do you see like the biggest mistakes that, you know, entrepreneurs are making, specifically drop shippers? Let's talk about e-commerce entrepreneurs, drop shippers, from your perspective.
I suppose one of the main issues I see with drop shipping always is people do not give one shit about the customer a lot of the time, and it's horrible, like, and it damages the whole reputation of the business. So basically what we need to do collectively is try and improve that as much as we physically can, like, and just make it like our moral principle and our moral duty to provide customers with better support, because at the end of the day, people are giving money to us, hard-earned money, because like they have to earn that money, and then they pass it over to you and trust that you're going to give them a valuable service, trust that you're going to give them good support, which is critical. And that's something like that's always in the back of my mind, because everyone knows how hard it is to make money, and when you spend money on something, you expect the value in exchange. So I suppose and if you do that, I know it's difficult in the short term, but even if so, for example, if you start a dropshipping business and things aren't the best at the start, which I talked about, like you're not providing the best product, just make sure you're gradually improving everything, talking to the customers, improving the packaging a little bit, improving the experience a little bit, making sure you have your VAs and you're actually checking that your VAs are doing proper work and they're not just like giving shitty replies. Just little things like that, making sure the whole business model is working efficiently. And I suppose for people that want to get started properly, it's thinking a little bit differently. Like if a product's working in the USA, why not try it in a different country? Bring it into some European country. Take a twist on the product. Things like that.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to connecting with you once you at like 8-figure level, and thank you. Thank you so much. I think it was very valuable, even for me. You know, these platforms you've elaborate like Gelato and email all stars. So yeah, thank you, man. Thank you so much, Jack. And
No problem.
guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jack, and see you guys. Thank you, man.